Roll up your
We're
windows.
live, Dallas. Roll up your windows.
It's Wednesday.
It is Wednesday.
And we have chat. First go round.
Oh, who's the first person in? I see there's a person, but no name. It's a mystery person. I hope we're not having this thing again.
No, it's fine, isn't it? It shows this.
There we go.
Here.
Josh H. What's happening, brother, man? First guy in.
Yeah.
It's usually George Honey, right?
Yeah, and then Uncle Squirrel's in there somewhere, right?
Fubar. Jerry Franks. Jesse Zenkowski. What's happening, brother, man?
And let me tell you, it is hot. Hot,
geez,
hot.
Yeah. It's like, seriously, it's at least 175.
I think so.
180, like that?
Yeah, I was thinking more like, that's 175 Celsius.
If you took a thermostat out of the box right now,
probably
it's open.
Yeah.
There's George Monty. Matt S. Zach's mashed potatoes. Jason's Garage. Minton Made Muscle. Ruckwarts. Richard Jatinin. Where's your lasagna? I don't know. Where is your lasagna?
Doug Narden's here.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he's bummed about Dusty Hill, which
wow.
Dusty Hill just passed away today.
Dusty Hill.
ZZ Top.
Oh, yeah, I was not really big into him. Not to say that I'm not sorry of his passing, but yeah. More Miata. I have a road race guy who's going to be taking the Miata out. He just messaged us back like today. So I've actually got a legitimate road race guy who's going to be flogging on the Miata.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Sounds good too. I heard your mini rip. I saw the mini rip.
Yeah.
The sucker gets up and moves, doesn't it? But it does remind me of like a very, probably an early 60s British sports car where you have to have the revs at like the perfect place, right?
Yeah.
That's what I noticed is like it labors if you get it too slow.
It wants to run from like 3 to 5,500 RPM or thereabouts.
Right.
But that's fine. That's fine.
Oh, that's exactly what it's for, right?
Drop it in second gear and go. Right? Fubar just put the link for AHRI online, and we also just filmed
AHRI Drag Racing History Channel episode.
Right? Yeah, so we just did that. That'll be up. When is that going to be up?
Probably tomorrow.
Oh yeah, we talked about slingshot dragsters was the topic. Dirty knobs, what's happening? Michael Loxton has a quick question. Trying to break the cam in on my 440. Good luck. Look, I'm crossed on both of my fingers. I got all my toes crossed. Good luck. Trying to break in the cam on your 440.
The spark plug
wires got so hot they caught on fire. They poop boots. But yeah, man, I don't know about that.
Running headers.
If you've got that, if the exhaust is so hot that you burnt your plug wires on fire,
I bet you got the timing.
I'm going to say your cam is retarded a significant amount. And I had this problem 2 years ago. Was it 2 years ago? 3? I don't even remember. But I had a Slant 6 cam, an aftermarket cam, a high performance cam that was ground 11 degrees retarded. Put it in the car, couldn't get this thing to run for anything, right? And it turned out when I checked everything out, it was ground 11 degrees retarded.
That's even if you put it in it straight up.
Right.
You're still 7 degrees, right?
No,
you'd be 11, I guess, actually.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Doug Norton said the Miata sounded really happy on that rip. Yep. It's a great car. I can't wait to see.
So you got the accelerator pump ironed out.
Almost. I still have a slight just off idle, a little bit of a stumble, right?
Uh-huh.
But I just haven't screwed around with it really. You know what I'm saying? But I'll know. I think I should know tomorrow. This guy's got there's a autocross club local.
Oh, really?
An informal group of guys.
Right.
And they're having a meet within the next week or two. So I'll have dates. I'll have all the specifics tomorrow. I should.
John Ramos is saying he's got a 68 CUDA notchback with a 440.
Rugwarts, Manhattan Speed shirts yet. Yeah, we're gonna have some. There's gonna be a limited run of because we're gearing up to do all of our merch in house, which means that we'll be able to do a lot of like short runs of things and specialty runs. Like you can't do that when you're putting in orders from outside.
Oh yeah, they'll rake you over the coals.
Oh yeah, it's impossible. So we're setting up to do all of our own. So that like if we want to do a limited edition shirt, like a 100 run, a 200 run, we can do that now.
He's asking about Bronx Speed. Are you going to do a Bronx Speed shirt?
I don't know. I think the Manhattan Speed shirt is just so
I think what would
iconic.
be kind of cool is like pick up a lot of the stuff that's gone, like literally gone. There's no trademarks, no nothing, and just mix shirts.
You can do that. Need metal, $5. Thank you, sir. Are any other rockers and push rods showing any wear damage and about? Nope, they all look fine. They all look fine.
Oh, Mopar Man 78 says he's a AHRA member now.
Nice.
Yep. I sent him his stuff. And yes, I got your carburetors the other day.
He sent you carburetors?
Yeah, he sent me some quadrojets.
What a nice guy.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see. Doug Nard missed out on a cast aluminum Mopar Performance air cleaner today. You were an hour late. They're not still available? You can't just buy those? Mr. Will says his UTG shirt is in the mail headed my way. Excellent. Uncle Crystal is on it.
Yeah, she's finally catching up after that backlog, right? The t-shirt place slowed you guys down big time.
Uncle Tony's Mortuary. You stab him, we slab him. What's going on, Marco? What about GTX? What's happening?
He's in Argentina. You know they got some badass wine down there.
Do they?
Yeah. Argentinian Malbec is one of my favorites.
Tom Muse wants to know if you got his info.
I did, Tom. I shot you an email back.
Okay.
And that Superior track, that was I shot him an email about it. It's like a road race track or a circle track. It's actually, it was originally like for karting, but they've been doing drifting and stuff on it. But it's definitely not my cup of tea or the AHRA's cup of tea. Matter of fact, we don't do tea. We're the AHRA. You do like Schlitz or Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Okay, Vincent Marino. I got two good questions here. Let's do this one first. Vincent Marino. For tuning a car, what order do I go in? Idle screw, choke, vacuum tuning, play with the rods, play with the jets, or set base timing. This is my first time doing this. All right. If it's your first time doing this and you've ascertained that the car functions well, okay, first thing, get an idle out of it. Just get it to idle, okay? So only forget about choke. Get it running or open up the choke.
Just
so that's not
get your throttle blade open first till it idles.
Right. Get it to idle. If you have the carburetor off the car, or off the engine, open the throttle. Open the throttle set screw, right? The stop screw. Open that so that just the very, very, very bottom of the transfer slot is showing, right? Anyway, just get an idle out of it. Then work your idle mixture screws. Get the highest idle out of it. Then go back to the throttle, the throttle set screw, right? Lower that if you have to, and then go back to the mixture screws. So it's a game where you're going from the idle stop to the mixture screws to get the idle where you want it to be.
I use a vacuum gauge for the idle mixture screws, but I mean you can literally do it with a tack.
You can do it with a tack. I do it by ear. I mean you can hear it when the motor smooths out. Okay, flat broke auto. Hi, Tony. What's up with blocking the bypass on a small block Mopar? I literally just did that today on Bottle Rocket. It was something I've been meaning to do, and I just never got around to it because I didn't have the fittings for it. But yeah, it's fine. The bypass, I'm not even sure why the bypass is on there because, I mean, I run them both with and without, and there's never any difference. They warm up exactly the same.
I think when it's really cold area,
yeah,
does that make a difference?
It does?
I think so. When it's really cold, like somewhere that, let's say Montana, you had a car,
right,
or Minnesota, and it would get down -10, -20 degrees, right? I mean, they got to throw, virtually they'd take you remember the old metal oil drain pans?
Sure.
Throw charcoal in them suckers, light it on fire, let it get to where it was just the coals burning, throw it up under the car, let it heat the oil and all that stuff.
Oh yeah. But the bypass.
Right. No, I know what you're talking about. When it bypasses the thermostat, right?
Yeah.
To warm it up is what it was supposed to be for,
Well,
right?
according to the textbook, it's so that you don't get any localized hot spots in the combustion, in like the cylinder heads, because the water isn't fully circulated. So it lets some water circulate so that it's moving through the heads and it picks up heat that way.
I thought it allowed it to evenly warm up, but I could be completely wrong.
It lets it even. That's you were saying the same thing. But you just start the engine. Okay, it's starting to build heat. All right. Some parts of the engine are hot. The water is cold.
Right.
Because the water is pretty stagnant. Well, the bypass allows it to go around the thermostat and circulate and heat the water evenly, heat the whole engine evenly before the thermostat opens.
Okay.
That's the textbook version of it, right? In my practical experience, I have never seen a difference having it with or without.
I know on a race car.
On a race car, I just automatically take them off.
Yeah, most of the time it's not even used. I used one of mine race car, and it didn't seem to make a damn bit of difference. But everybody takes them off. I guess I could probably run without it. No big deal.
All right, what do we got here?
Is a 68 Plymouth Fury 3 90% complete worth $2,500? What's a 68 look like?
It's hard to say. Is it really rust free? You know, I don't know.
That's a C body because you're not going to get any parts for them suckers, right?
It's not only a parts hard, but it's not like you're going to be fighting anybody for that car.
Is it a good looking car? Is it like the 70s
really.
Ford Fury?
No. I had one.
The bypass will give you heat to the
heater core sooner. Okay, yeah.
That makes sense.
Let's see.
He says, yeah, it's rust free. Jump on it. You can't beat it for $2,500. A running car these days for $2,500 is a damn good price.
Well, he's right. I mean, what do you get for $2,500? It's Mopar Den.
Yeah, they're here.
Ricky Vargas says, the Fury has a 318 engine. Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
I mean, they're good cruisers. You know what I mean? They're
Fury
really heavy.
A Fury with a slant 6 would be a problem.
I had a 68, right? I had a 68. This was a few years ago. 318, no air, power steering. It was like a no option car. There was nothing to it. Like it had power steering and it had power brakes. It had disc brakes, which is an oddity for those cars. But that thing scaled at 4,040 pounds.
All right, this one guy in his. How did you weld the manifold on your Miata build?
With a welder.
It's probably did you use the that was the one where you used a coat hanger, right?
No,
coat hanger and a torch.
That.
You flux cord cast iron?
Yeah, we do it all the time.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Besides using the oil cooler adapter or an oil filter, what is the other way to run an oil cooler like Mom Mopar did? That's a good question.
What was the question?
I don't know. I've never done any type of oil cooler stuff.
He's talking about the sandwich one, right? That's what it looks like.
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
I don't know. I've never hooked up an oil cooler.
Well, I have. I did it on trucks, right?
Okay.
Like when I was building my tow rigs, like a 3/4 ton. So Ford had one that actually went on the Windsor that was kind of like a sandwich cooler, but it had water running through it.
Yeah, I remember those.
Okay. They'd always rust out and you could never find a replacement. Then one I did, like the Buick has an oil filter or has a oil pressure sending unit that's a big, like 3/8 inch cut fitting.
Yeah, but the question is, how would he do it on a Mopar?
Does a Mopar have that big fitting like that where you can actually hook up a line, like a 3/8 line to it?
All right, I got a super chat over here. Matt T, thank you. Your videos are great. They were a big help when building my 318, especially the porting video. Excellent. Now I picked up a 400 block on a Forge 440 crank. Can I get a quick run of the parts you would use for a 451 stroker? Yeah, take that 440 crank and turn it down, right? Just turn down the mains to the 400 size. That's all you got to do. The rod journals, leave them alone. Use the stock 400 rods. They're the perfect rod for that application. And the pistons, every piston manufacturer has an off-the-shelf piston for that combination because it's so popular, right? I can't really give you a recommendation on the piston. That's going to be what
up to you and what your budget's going to be, But I have seen who's the guys on the West Coast that were fairly cheap. Is it Icon? No, not Icon. It'll come to me.
It doesn't matter. There's so many. You just have to call around. But like I said, that's such a popular combination that every piston manufacturer has got that. You're just going to have to powwow with them and figure out what material, what compression height, what style piston, what ring pack you're going to use. That's between you and the piston manufacturer. But honestly, you got everything you need right there. You got the crank and you got the rods that are already in the 400. Good luck with it. You'll have fun. That is a happy combination. That's like, I don't know why Chrysler didn't do that off the.
Well, it was built bigger motors back then. They were trying to make them smaller.
The lifters, no. The super huge cam company. Good at that. You know what I mean? Because they know who I am. Okay, they know who I am. They know who I am very specifically. Like, in other words, like they could go to Facebook and they can go to their friends list and they can actually message me, back and forth just on Messenger because they know exactly who I am. But no, nobody reached out to me, and I find that to be kind of disappointing.
Mr. Will asked me how many build cheats have I found in Buicks. That's a big. He found one in his 72 convertible. He said that's the first time he's ever found one.
Okay.
I found 0. So usually the stuff I get's pretty beat though. By the time I get them, I'm the guy who always picks up the stuff that nobody wants.
Eugene Crane just picked up a 52 Hudson Hornet for $1,000. Nice.
Online, others have had the same lifter issue.
Lots of people. That video has like 1,200 comments, and like there's like hundreds.
Already?
Oh yeah.
Holy cow!
Hundreds of people that have had the exact same problem. Very many of them with the same brand that I used. But yeah, literally, I didn't think it was that prevalent. I mean, it's just when I did the video, I had no idea it was so prevalent. And now I'm reading through the comments, and it's like everybody's having this problem.
Oh. Well, I tell you what, if you're a lifter manufacturer today making a quality product, you're going to be owning the market soon. You're going to be literally owning it because you'll be the only one making a lifter. All you got to do is make a lifter that's good.
Oh, Don Wayne English here. More to come. Details. I don't know. I'm not sure what he's talking about there. But
Are far from conclusive, but it's going to be memorable. We must have missed the chat from him or something. Johnson lifters are the best. A little pricey, but the best.
Paul Cavazzolo, do you think that the lifter bleed down is due to the lifter check valve having insufficient spring pressure? I do not know. I don't know. They bleed down nearly instantly. Because I was playing with the motor today, right? Put the intake manifold back on it, started it up, and it was the same thing. I had to lift the noise for a couple of seconds, and it went away. I shut it off. Okay, so I ran the motor until it got hot. Everything was fine. It was at 22 pounds of oil pressure at idle, fully warmed up, and the gauge just shoots right up, goes right up at RPM like a tack does. And I shut it off, popped the valve cover off like as fast as here's how long it took me to do this, right? I shut the engine off. I had the tools already on the fender. It takes literally less than a minute to pull the valve cover off. There's nothing in the way. It's just the bolts, right? And by the time I got the valve cover off, 2 of the lifters on the driver's side had already bled down to where there was nothing there.
Yeah, the oil filter. Oh, so Tom Muse is saying I can get an oil filter adapter with the plug in them, like I was asking about. But that's the sandwich coolers. I was trying to think of any other options beside the sandwich cooler. I had a sandwich cooler, and it was not good.
The sandwich cooler is how Chrysler did it on the police cars.
Is it?
Yeah. Now that I'm thinking about it.
Oh, so they call me nobody. Says not usually a GM guy, but I bought a '79 GMC. Excuse me, 1-ton dually with a 454 bored and stroked to 510, Edelbrock aluminum heads, intake and carb headers, etc. $2,000. Runs like a top 600 plus horsepower. That's a pretty good deal for 600 horse. Yeah, I wouldn't pass that up either. Plus, it's a square body 1-ton. Let's hope it's got the 4 doors. That's what I'm kind of envisioning with 600 horse.
Mark Ward says I need to run straight STP to keep the lifters up.
Just pour it in the lifter.
How about if we just fill a motor with expanding foam?
That would be good.
That would do it, right?
Yeah. And then, hey, well, you'll save 10 horsepower because you don't need to run the oil pump anymore.
William Elston, which is a better coil, a 70 to 1 turn or a 95 to 1? I don't know. Which is a better coil?
Well, I would assume the more windings that it has, the more voltage it's going to put out.
I'm not an electronics guy. I say, does it have a bright blue spark that goes? Because if it does, it's a good coil. You know, I never took one apart to count the windings.
I'll tell you the easy way to do it is go ahead and hook that sucker up to a battery and hold on to the hot end. And whichever one makes you pee your pants is the one I'd run on my car.
Mopar Man says 6 bottles of Lucas oil stabilizer. Yeah, but I still think the expanding foam or maybe Flex Seal. Maybe if I filled the motor with that Flex Seal stuff.
At least the lifters.
Yeah. You know, that would probably work.
Yeah, it was solid. You make the lifter solid.
What if you filled the lifter with a soft rubber?
It wouldn't lubricate through the hole.
I don't have to lubricate through the hole.
Is it coming through the push rod?
Or shafts.
Then it doesn't matter. Fill it full of an epoxy is what I would do.
Well, that's just making a solid lifter.
Oh, that's not what you wanted?
Well, I'd have to use adjustable rockers. And on that engine, I'm trying to stick with the stock rockers.
Or you could go old school and use adjustable push rods.
I could do that too.
Which are cheap.
Paul Cavazol, how about adding an oil pressure accumulator? I won't add. Here's how I am with this stuff right now, and I'm not saying that everybody should be like this. I'm saying how I am, right? For me to actually add a part to any car is like, it has to be like a life and death. This cannot happen or function in any other way. I never add parts. I keep taking parts away until I've boiled it down to the purest, simplest machine, and then I go from there. So an oil accumulator, no. I mean, honestly, like if the motor threw the crankshaft on the ground every time it went through the finish line because it was out of oil, I would probably just stock up on bearings, you know what I mean, and use shorter bolts in the oil pan to get it off quicker before I put an accumulator on.
Look at this.
I don't add parts.
Foxfire wood turning RJ says flux core weld the lifter.
Yeah. 273 adjustable rockers is still cheap. Spend $100. I mean, yeah, no, I could get my hands on it. So that's not the issue. That's not the question. You know, there's no reason that this should have happened. And 273 adjustable rockers, yeah, I could get my hands on them cheap, but the average person can't. They got. I mean, that's really. You look what they go for at eBay, right? You know, you spend $200, $300 on a set of rockers and push it. You might as well buy aftermarket at that point. But the idea was to try to keep it solid. I don't like hydraulic rollers. I said that in the video. I never did like hydraulic rollers, but I did it for the sake of that particular build to keep the stock rockers and everything in place. I'm building another motor for that car. The next motor will have solid everything.
So Short Bus is saying they got the Saginaw and the LaSalle and working well. Was that somebody from a previous episode? Did we talk about a Saginaw and a... I honestly can't remember. These things all kind of run together. I was hoping that you could refresh my memory and that you remembered it. But yeah, Short Bus details. I don't remember that one. Oh, LeSabre. You got a Saginaw and a LeSabre.
Reaper 7793. What cam would you recommend for a stock 318 as a weekend cruiser? Get the Hughes Whiplash.
That's like every week.
Everybody asks that question every week, right? And every week I give the same answer. Use a Hughes Whiplash. I have one of my 273 GT. It's a great cam. You'll love it.
Yeah, he did contact me on email. All right. Tom McCabe says fill them with grease. Yeah, but it's only good till the oil gets warm.
Al Nas Nerd. Fact, I'm late. You're not late, man. You're just in time. We've specifically not talked about anything interesting because you didn't get here yet.
Tom Muse says Rhodes lifters. I told Tony that today. I said, look, you got Rhodes lifters for zero price.
More or less.
Zero price. My car always runs faster with Rhodes lifters.
Unity Motorsports. Hey, Andy. I've seen a lot of hydraulic roller lifter failures lately. I run Morrill if I do run a hydraulic roller, but they are not cheap. Aren't you glad you didn't come out this last week? These guys, John Wilburn and Andy wanted to come out the next time we ran the car. And I was like, look, I'm just going to run it over to the local track. We're going to make a couple of hits. I'm only trying to get the thing off the line, right? But they really wanted to come out. Aren't you glad you didn't come?
That'd been a long drive for nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did. Well, you didn't even get through the burnout, right?
No, I got through the burnout, but it was just dead. There was nobody home. It was running 7 cylinders.
Yeah, especially that exhaust valve.
Well, remember, you down the power of that cylinder, then the pumping losses.
Right. Well,
that cylinder.
That's what I was just going to say was the exhaust valve's hung shut, right? So even if it drew in any air and fuel and had an explosion,
right,
it's then going to reopen the exhaust valve, and all that's going to go right back out the top and revert through your intake.
Right.
So I bet it's down more than one cylinder being down. It'd be better if you just went out there and pulled the plug off.
I would have had to. If you leave the plug out, it's more than when you drop a cylinder, you're down more than just the value of the cylinder, because then you've got the pumping losses of having a cycle.
Oh, Matt S. is asking if you can use stock replacement Magnum roller lifters.
No,
there's nothing in the block to hold them, I'm assuming.
No, that Battle Rocket's an LA motor, so it has shaft-mounted rockers. Kenny Whittington, will it ever make a full pass? No, of course not.
I wonder if we could do that. I got enough junk laying around. Let's see if we can cobble together a roller camshaft assembly for something that was never roller. And you do it completely different using factory roller lifters. Because those seem to be the only ones that's worth a shit these days.
I'd like to try it with a 4-row Jeep.
I don't know about that one. That's cam and block, right?
Yeah, but it has the AMC and Chrysler size lifter.
So it uses a stock Chrysler.
And it uses the same rocker arm as a Magnum engine does.
So we could possibly use a roller from a Magnum.
Yeah.
And then have a custom run. Well, yeah, I don't know.
Unity Motorsports, I agree. I bet they're collapsing at RPM also. I would not be even the slightest bit surprised.
Yeah, run some 50 weight in it, and it'll be fine.
Art of Fiddler. How about a slant with 318 roller lifters? Yeah. Foxfire wood turning. Donate Bottle Rocket to me. I need a project. No, I'll die with that car.
You're probably buried in that one.
Yeah.
Holding it wide open to the floor.
That car.
It's going so fast I can't read it.
Oh, 0 here? Oh, good. The code has been timed out.
0 is apparently here, yes.
There he is, 0. And Ari. Okay. The gang is all here. Wait, no, where's John Wilbur? Big Wilbur. You know, we're gonna do we're talking about doing a podcast.
Who?
Me and John Wilbur.
For what?
In the morning. It's gonna be called Drunkle Tony and Big Wilbur in the morning. Let's see. Lifetime test and tuner. I love it. You know, honestly, that's my favorite thing. You know what I mean? That's my favorite thing. I love to test and tune. That's like if I had a choice to do anything, right? You know, in the universe of like drag racing, I love test and tune. Test and tune is the thing. I get the racing, right? But I don't. How can I explain this to you? I don't care enough. You know what I'm saying? It's like it doesn't. I have no ego involved in any of this, right? To be a successful drag racer, when I say successful drag racer, I mean somebody who wins laps, who goes rounds, right? You have to have a huge amount of ego involved in that because it's like, you know, right? Whatever it takes, okay? And I don't care enough to actually ever be a successful lap goer. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I've noticed that the older I get, the more I like to just test and tune because I want to get the car sorted out.
Okay, so here's
and it's an ongoing thing, so you never do.
So let me explain this better. Let's say Dallas and I are going to race, okay? So we're going to line up. If Dallas gets to the finish line first, but I run a better time than I had previously, I'm happy. As far as I'm concerned, in my mind, I won. You know what I mean? It's like, because I beat my own time. Like that's the thing with me and drag racing. To me, drag racing, I don't really care what's in the other lane. It makes no difference to me. I wish I cared. I go deep down inside to try to find the place that cares, and it's not there. What I do care about is making time, is getting a lower ET. You know what I mean? Which is why I've always found myself happier outside the cars, working for other people who do care if they get to the finish line first. I just want to make the car go faster. I want to make it go faster. I want to make it go more efficient. I want to make it work. That's what I get out of it.
I was looking at this here. They were saying Al Nosnerd says League of Distinguished Gentlemen. I think he's onto something there.
How's that?
Well, I think because that is a movie, A League of Extraordinary Gentlemen,
yeah, I
right?
remember that, yeah.
I think what you should do is like League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, right? Or something else.
Fab race mod repeats as Tony gets it. Yeah, that's the thing. I don't care. I wish I cared. I don't care. You know, at one point when I was younger, I did. Like when I was in my 20s, you know, when I was street racing, okay, when I was out there all the time, you know, yeah, I cared. It made a difference to me because, like, you know, we weren't talking about numbers. We were talking about getting to the other end first. So yeah, I really cared. Okay, but like after I did the nitro thing for a while, and I realized that I didn't care what it didn't make any difference to me whether we went 2 rounds or 3. I didn't care as long as the number on the scoreboard was better than the previous number and the car came back with like enough stuff to go out and make another round. Right? That's all I cared about. I didn't care if we won or not. So that's when I realized that it's all I care about is just the tuning and the go. You know, all of the drag strips in my world can have one lane, and I'd be completely happy with that. Daniel Bull, can you use 5.2 Magnum factory roller cam from Bottle Rocket? That's a 318.2. You can use the cam, but the lifters won't work because the roller block, the roller 318 block, has a much taller lifter bore. So you could use the cam, but you can't use those lifters. You have to use what they call a retro lifter on the LA motor. Vince Frencher says he was on Front Street in Philadelphia Monday night. Nobody was there but trucks.
Is that where like all the heavy hitters used to be? Street race area in Philly? Unfinished Project says I'm watching with the volume down. My current location won't allow it.
What's your current location?
He's probably in the library.
Probably. He's in a brothel.
He's in or he's in the spank booth at the adult film place.
It's Jim Bennett from Bennett's Hot Rod Garage and Classic Restorations. Your name is too long. Just make it Bennett's Hot Rod Garage. Yeah, man. Do I know Frenchie from Englishtown? People keep asking me about Frenchie from Englishtown. No, I don't. But yeah, anybody who Jim Bennett, he's a good friend of mine. Jim Bennett's Hot Rod Garage. Go over there. Go sub to his channel. Like his channel. If you go and the next 100 subs, Jim, you're gonna back me up on this, okay? The next 100 subs, if you're one of the next 100 subs to Jim Bennett's Hot Rod Garage and Classic something or other, right? Jim will come and weed eat your backyard.
Oh, that's it. I'm subbing right now.
Yeah, no, seriously. Jim, you back me up on that, right? You go weed eat their yards. The next 100 subscribers, Jim is on there. And he'll give you an ice cream cone.
Well, so we got, what is that? Michael Benol. Why did you do that?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Michael Benolil. Completely stock 66 Corvette 327, except the Pertronics conversion and coil. Runs fine for about 5 miles and then dies if you go up a hill. Will not start for 20 minutes. Coil is too hot to touch. I'd say you probably have a bad coil.
Yeah, I'd say you probably got a paid coil. That's right.
But
I'd
put the points back in
sure.
that.
Put the points back in it and see what happens. If the points fix it, then you know it was the coil. If not, look someplace else. Mr. Will, thank you. Guys, I need a new daily driver. I don't want a new cheap car. I'm wanting to buy a low mileage 85 to 87 old 442. Great choice. I have a 45-minute commute. What are the pros and cons? What's your opinion? There are no cons. All pros. That car is born to make that 45-minute commute. You'll love it.
I had one. I had one of those.
I had a Monty SS, which is the same. Yeah.
That 307, it's not a powerhouse. Don't expect anything amazing from it.
It shouldn't be a 307 on it. It should be a 305 Chevy.
No, not an 87 or not an 85 to 87 olds. It was actually a roller cam 307.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Okay.
But it does knock down like 20 plus miles to the gallon with a carburetor. What I do is I take all the computer controlled BS off of it, and I drop an HEI distributor in it and a earlier quadrijet.
Yeah.
And I would
get rid of the CCC.
I'd fine tune that sucker and it would purr like a kitten.
What you want is all of the componentry pre 1981. 1981 is the CC. 1981 and newer is the C, what they call the CCC system.
Computer controlled carburetor.
Right. You want all of your hardware get from 1980, right? And you'll be thrilled with that car. Good luck with it. Gabriel DeMarco, thank you, man. I appreciate that. Dimitri, a mechanic said it would be my ignition cylinder.
Your ignition
cylinder? I don't know how that would make the coil get hot.
Oh, this is the guy with the hot coil?
I believe so. Bart Smith, plug fouling on one cylinder. Can you give me some hints how to extend life if oil getting on it? They used to make oil firing plugs.
It sounds to me that it's probably a guide.
Well, he wants to keep the thing running. It's fouling a plug on him.
Right.
Oil fouling a plug.
I'm assuming this is coming from a guide, right?
Well, either way, it comes from rings with a guide. It's still oil fouling his plug. So he wants to know how to keep it alive longer.
Right. Well, that's what I was thinking. All right. The cheap way is throw another valve seal on it, new valve seal. That'll last for a little while.
I don't think he cares about that. He just wants the thing to run.
Yeah.
Plug fouling a number one cylinder. Can you give me some hints how to extend life if oil getting on it? They used to make, I don't know if they still do, they probably do, I don't know. They used to make special oil fouling plugs, right? So the cylinder was like eating oil. And whatever it was, I don't remember what they did to these things to make them fire, like in that miserable condition of being caked with oil. But they did, and back in the day they worked. It was like common. Cabs used to always have oil foul plugs on them and stuff like that. And they did work, but I don't know. I can't give you any recommendations as to where to buy them or anything like that.
So Nate B was asking me a Buick question.
Oh, what was it?
It said, does 66 and earlier big blocks have different mounting points than 67 and later? I'm assuming they probably do because they're a completely different block. The 66 and earlier would be a nail head, The 67 and later would be your big block Buick, your 400, 430, 455. But in all actuality, I bet they're very similar because the nailhead was in the X-frame cars all the way up through, well, how long did they carry the X-frame? 64. And then the Riviera was an X-frame all the way up to 70. When they replaced the big blocks, the engine would have sat in almost the same position because the transmission would have been in the same location. So you can probably get them to cross mismatch. But yes, they would mount differently because they're two completely different motors. Did we get this one?
Oh, thank you, man.
Mopar Den. Did you get this one over here?
I don't know. I donate blood and organs to keep this project on course if I haven't to. Hey, I hope to inspire others to contribute to Bottle Rocket. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. we hit that. Okay.
Just tap them again.
Okay.
Yeah, there you
go. 1969 Charger G code. That's a 318.
Oh, John Wilburn's here.
Yeah, he is. He's always there. Big Wilbur. Al, thank you, man. I appreciate that. Box Truck Nation.
Oh, speaking of that,
Box Truck Life.
I haven't seen the old carry van running around in a while.
It's just sitting there in front of the shop. I'm in love with my XJ.
Dave Belcar says a G code is a 3.
Oh, you're right.
Barrel.
You're right. G is 70 and up.
Hey, there you go. I just bought the 18 millimeter Nun plug Fowler kit with 2 screw-in fittings to do a mod on your 96 Jeep catalytic converter delete.
Okay. And Ultra Kathy with the traffic report.
Well, she should take the place of, like, what was it, Mama Look Boo Boo Day?
Jim Bennett saying Marketplace has 266 Chargers. They're sold already. They're gone. I wanted to go out there and shoot them.
You know, I thought about this the other day. You said you always wanted to do like a real barn find, like fire it and go video, but it never works out because we never find a real barn. You found all the Jeeps. We should go up there and get the one with the Buick 350, like it's 68. And I got enough parts. We'll just go up there and hammer it, have it running, and freaking drive it back to Murfreesboro. Like shit tires, the whole 9 yards.
Look at that. Shoe and shoelace. Uncle Tony, on the 440 video about the motorhome and industrial engines, he said the engine Cathy built had locked timing. Why was the timing lock being mostly a street-driven car? Because it's got no compression. It's got like zero compression. It's like you can run it on hairspray. So to give it that snap, you know, when you hit the throttle, it's just locked out. It's a Mallory dual point distributor, and it's locked out at 34. I believe yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 34 degrees. And like you touch the gas, and she's just she wants to go. So that's why. If it had more compression, it was up in a 10 to 1 range, then yeah, I would have it. But for that car, and that car is heavy. That car is it kills me every time I stomp that car. It's like this engine would be so sweet in like a Dart or you know what I mean? But it's the car is heavy. It's way over 4,000 pounds without anybody in it. So but that's why the timing is locked out like that.
Matthew Ross asks, what do you think of a Buick 340 4-barrel as a swap for my 77 Sunbird? I can get a runner for $300. I'd do that.
I would do that too.
That 340 is almost exactly the same as the 350 Buick. It just uses the 300 head. And if you can get a 340 4-barrel, do it. I mean, you want torque monster, that would be a torque monster. It's got a little bit smaller bore, but it's got the heads similar to a 300. It'd be a good running motor.
Ari wants to know, is asking John Wilburn, is that what freedom feels like? I always thought that freedom felt kind of like a slightly overcooked waffle.
Gil Silva saying, hello, guys. My question is, I have a Marine 426. I don't know.
Parts 413 interchangeable. Yes. The 426 is a 70 over 413. That's all it is. And the Kickendall has arrived.
They're here.
All hail the Kickendall. And it's Richard Holdener. Oh my God. This is like.
Well, I think you said I'm Jeep 6-cylinder, and poof.
And there he is.
Appeared.
There he is.
He probably had a tick, like a tick he heard in his ear.
Eureka wants to know if I've ever heard anything back from the can company. No, they know exactly how to get me. They know how to get me. They could text me. They have my number. They could get me on Messenger. I'm friends with them on Facebook. But no, nobody has reached out to me.
Murder No was asking, hey, Dallas, can you tell me about the Buick 364 Fireball? That's a nailhead. So it's actually interchangeable, well, depending upon what year, because the 364 is kind of odd. There's a few years in there where only parts from that year interchange with that year. You know, like, do you remember how the 60s Fords were notorious for being parts were not interchangeable?
Yeah,
it was just like you had to get it from a Comet with air conditioning and manual brakes, or your shit wouldn't fit, right?
I felt bad for the Ford guys back in. So like in the 70s when I was building these cars, when they were still common, and you go to the junkyard, get your big block, and right. You know, seriously, you build a big block D-body Mopar, and it costs like $300 for everything. The car.
We missed the super chat.
No, that's it.
We got all the super chats.
But the Ford guys, so like us Mopar guys, we'd slam together stuff quick out of the junkyard because you can always get a 440 out of an Imperial, and you can always get a Belvedere out of it. So, but the Ford guys, they could never finish a car. Like they could never get a car running because they get like a Cougar, okay, they get a Mustang, whatever it happens to be, right? A Comet, and then they would start like finding parts, and like where we could just kind of like just grab motor and trans and go. The Ford guys were always mixing and matching, and always had big piles of stuff that, well, this won't fit here because the ball pattern is different. They changed it, and that's like Fords. That's the story of Fords.
Yeah. So he's saying it's from a 58 Buick Century. So the later you go, the better that gets. But our later nailhead will bolt in there.
But
the olds.
Uncle Kathy in the control center is saying, I missed a super chat, but no, that's Mopar Dens. We got that.
Yeah, we got it. And then Vince W. saying olds and Buick 455s are different in every aspect.
Yes.
Every aspect.
Richard Holdner is going to be a Dodge owner tomorrow. Welcome to the club. So for anybody who here doesn't know who Richard Holdner is, and I cannot imagine that's even possible. Richard Holdner actually belongs on the coinage, I believe.
You'd have George Washington and Richard Holdner.
Yes. Yeah. Right.
Like he'd be on the. I guess they don't make a $50 anymore, huh?
So, but anyway, Richard Holdner is probably the smartest organism on the planet. He's definitely an alien hybrid, and he's got his channel there. Richard Holdner, right? That's he doesn't need a name for his channel. It's just Richard Holdner, right? So make sure you go over there and subscribe and ring the bell and send him money. Send him money. Send him, anything he wants. Just send it to him.
Richard Holdner says he needs a bell housing for a 347 Pontiac. What the hell is 347 Pontiac? Is that early? Is that 50 stuff?
Oh shit! John Wilburn says we did miss a super chat. I'm so sorry. It was from Rude Mopar dude. Dude, I'm so sorry. I didn't see it. It didn't come up on our thing. What about putting a flat top at cam in my 89-318 with factory roller cam, already running carb that cam? Yeah. No, you could absolutely just drop regular flat top at lifters in rods, obviously. But yeah, that'll go right in. But I don't know why you would want to do that.
That's going backwards.
Yeah.
That's definitely going backwards.
I would keep a roller in there.
They used to have a rule of thumb that the roller cam was worth 20 horsepower, I think is what the number used to be. And that's just if you had the same profile, and that's because the ramp rate on it was so much more extreme than a hydraulic flat tap cam. And then you got the rolling friction difference. So 57 347 first year of the tri-power. Oh man, good luck finding that.
The Star Chief.
Yeah. And he's talking like it's only a couple years. I don't know. Richard? Is that 347 based off of if it's the same engine family as 389? A bell housing off of 389 should work because the Pontiacs were all, they're all intermediate block, right? So they're all the same.
Okay.
I don't know if that 347 is the same.
Magnum 68. Do you guys know Pontiacs? I'm thinking about his Holley 750 double pumper on a 71 Pontiac Limited 350. What do you think?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, it's about the right carburetor for it.
Yeah. It's probably gonna. It would definitely improve throttle response and your ET. The Pirate Apache asks, will the Mopar TBI take any modifications without running bad?
I don't know. It's going to run bad no matter what you do. It's total garbage.
Oh, Richard Holder, did you get a fuel-injected one? That'd be badass if he got a Rochester fuel-injected 347.
Well, he's going to be a Dodge owner tomorrow. What was up with that?
I don't know. He said he got a 347 Pontiac and he needs a bell housing for it. Oh, the 389 won't work. Oh, man. I honestly don't know.
Okay. Reznov Petrenko. Oh, I'm sorry if I murdered your name, brother man. What motor do you suggest for my 86 Dodge single shorty? Looking to keep it a daily driver, but would like to make 300 to 400 horsepower. A well-tuned 360 Magnum will do that all day long. Paul Cavazola, how much does the added weight of a roller lifter versus flat tappet affect performance given a similar cam spec? I don't. You're talking about just the added valve train weight. I don't know if that would really. I don't know if that's a limiting factor. I mean, it may tax the valve springs just a. I mean, well, okay, so you're going to tax valve springs a little harder with it.
You always put a stiffer spring on them, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's a comparison, an even comparison. I'm sure that weight does make a difference, but it's probably not in any kind of daily driver.
Yeah, I don't think that you would see valve flow because I mean you're concerned it would be floating the valves because of the heavier assembly, right? Because obviously inertia, you got to the spring's got to reverse the direction. I think send it back down. But I don't think you would see valve float like if you've got a healthy like just a healthy valve spring. Let's say you run in like Bottle Rocket 550 range, fresh 340 valve springs. You shouldn't have. You'll never see valve flow till you're up around the 7,000 RPM range, and you ain't gonna go there.
So, Gabriel DeMarco has the ultimate question. This is why we do the tech channel. All right. Tony in Dallas, how fast should a bronze distributor gear wear out? I'm changing one for about every 500 kilometers.
I don't know how long a kilometer is, but
we'll just say, is it like a third of a mile? I don't know.
Okay. Now I see. Here's the thing.
I'm assuming that's probably about 400 miles.
I have seen them go in that range, and I've seen them last like forever. Okay. I don't know the rhyme or reason why.
I would actually go on a limb to guess that this distributor gear is probably the same one he's buying is probably from the same group that sold you a set of lifters, right?
It's quite possible.
I would almost venture out to say them suckers are cast or manufactured probably not onshore, right? It's nowhere in the continental North America. And so they used to make a composite gear. Right?
A melanated.
Yeah. And the composite gear, because it lasts considerably longer.
The purpose of the bronze gear is sacrificial.
It's meant to wear out.
It's meant to wear out. Okay. But the rate at which they wear out just is going to vary from engine to engine.
Try that. What is it? Melanized gear?
Yeah.
Melanized gear.
Yeah.
And I'll bet you that thing probably will do a little bit better, but it sounds like everything's right. And you might just have, it's a bad run of gears.
Chris Miles, thank you, man. I appreciate that. Let's see. Troll much? Who's the troll? Where's my troll?
Probably this guy.
I love my trolls.
Paul Randall. Probably Paul Randall. Quadjet King says GMCCC sucks.
It does.
His name is Quadrijet King.
Well, then if anybody should know that it sucks, it's him.
Right. Well, of course. But we were just talking about telling somebody where the 307 holes will be able to take it off and throw it in the trash and put an older one on it.
Delivery Guy RX. UT, roll a few of those for me. I'm putting an Edelbrock 500 CFM on my Chevy 283. Can I plug the PCV hole without affecting performance or lack thereof? No. Use the PCV valve. I know your 280. Yeah, your 283 had a road draft tube, or use a PCV system. On a street engine, I always use PCV systems, and that 500 is too small, right? The 500 Edelbrock flows like a 425 PFM Holley.
I just got an idea.
Yeah.
If that guy's running an oil pump in his 383 Chevy, that's like 100 pounds of oil pressure, 60 pounds of oil. You know, the Chevrolet guys, they don't have problems with oil pressure. Right.
That's possible too.
If you're running high port pressures like that, would really wind on that gear hard.
Yeah. See, you also have there's other factors too. Like, for instance, some engines have a thrust plate to keep the cam from moving back and forth. Some engines don't. Right. So
he said he was running one.
You run on
He's running a thrust plate. He said.
Okay.
And he said the in play on his distributor was 13 thousandths. I think that's what it was.
Is it a roller cam or a flat tapper? Because that makes a difference also. Yeah, I'll say cam walk or kill a gear. Yeah. So here's the thing. Okay, let's just say, for example, this might be. I don't know what you got in your car. I don't know what you're running, but I'll tell you what. Let's say you're running an engine like a small block Chevy or big block Mopar that doesn't have any sort of thrust plate for the cam, okay, and you're using a roller, right? You will destroy that gear, but pronto, right? Because the gear is always being worked back and forth. The bronze is soft, and it'll destroy itself. It'll eat itself alive. You need a cam button in there if you've got a roller, because on a flat tapper cam, it's the taper on the lobes that keeps the cam pushed back as the engine is running. But if you've got a roller cam and you don't have a button or thrust plate, it's going to rock back and forth. You're always going back and forth, and it'll kill that gear in no time flat.
Ari deleted this message from Doug Narden, but it was the funniest thing I've seen today.
What was it?
It said, "My fan shroud on my EGR doesn't work," or something like that. Can I run a fan shroud on my EGR? That's what it was.
Kicking on. Well, Tony, want to buy another XJ? Oh God, bro, I want to. Okay, in fact, I just told Kathy today, right? I says I like to find one that's destroyed, okay? Because the one that I'm driving now is a cream puff, and it's got the hoity-toity interior. It's got leather. It's got cold air. It's like driving a freaking Mercedes, for Christ's sakes, right? And the other one that I have is rust-free, immaculate, no dings, no dents, original paint. I mean, it needs a detailing.
It's a stripper model, but it's like cherry.
It's cherry, right?
Yeah.
I can't bring myself to harm it in any way. I just want to get it running and make it nice, right? So I'd like to find a 4-wheel drive mud toy, something that's already been rolled on its side, something that's already been destroyed. Because if it's not destroyed, I'm going to fall in love with it. So I'd like to find one cheap that's already that I could go out and go wheeling with. You know what I mean? But I don't want to buy another nice one.
I could probably hook you up with that.
Yeah?
Yeah, like not for sale, but I mean, if you wanted to do all kinds of episodes on it.
Yeah, I'd rather have one myself.
Oh. Be the shroud.
Tony Whitaker, is the next inline 6-cylinder UTG going to be a Jeep 4.0? Yes, absolutely. I'm going to dig into it probably beginning of the fall. I'm thinking probably middle of October, towards the end of October. We'll dig into that 4.0. I'm not sure exactly what I want to do with it yet. I'm going to keep it very streetable, but I'm definitely going to warm it up a little bit. I just don't know what I'm going to do to it yet. DOLA XJ Gasser. You know what?
I never talked about that.
I swear to God. Okay, I swear to God. I was in traffic. What was it? Yesterday, the day before? I don't even remember. Okay, and there was an XJ across the intersection from me, and it had fatter tires on the back than it had on the front. So I had some beefy tires on the front, but I had like mud tires on the back. And it was like that would be a badass gasser. I mean, like, you know.
Can we talk about this though? Just talk about
Yeah, but I actually saw one that like kind of fit that profile.
It'd be awesome.
It would be awesome. It would be awesome.
You have a two-wheel drive one, two-door.
Both of mine are two-wheel drive, but they're both four
When
doors.
you find a two-door sport, hey, if you got a Roach two-door sport, we don't want this one rolled over or crashed, but like just worn out is fine. Matter of fact, if you don't even have to have one, or it could have big piles of dog shit in there. We'll scoop it out.
David Cole wants to know where they can find the Drunkle Tony and Big Wilbur. No, it's Big Wilbur podcast. I'm ready to do it. Like if Joe wants to do it tomorrow morning, I'm down. Like let's. Jason's Garage. What do you think about putting a 4.0 in an old AMC Rambler? I mean, you could, but I mean, the AMC had its own. The Rambler had its own versions of that engine, and there were bigger engines of it. The 4.0 was only a 242. They had I forgot what size they went up to.
258, right?
258. There was that was one from the middle 70s. I think there was an even bigger one than that.
I don't think there was one bigger than 258, but I'm not a big expert on those things. So Cranky Crow says, "Do you guys should do a nitrous segment for us noobs."
Okay,
that would be badass.
That actually would be. We could do that. Do you have nitrous stuff kicking around here?
No, I sold all of my nitrous stuff when I kept breaking everything behind the motor.
Do you have on your your Cougar?
My T-Bird?
T-Bird?
I don't have nitrous on there anymore.
Okay.
4.2 was the biggest inline six AMC. So was that the 258? That sounds like 258.
Yeah, 258. Okay. Mr. Testicles. Great name. I'm Mr. Testicles. What type of engine do you recommend for my 49 Chevy Skyline? Ooh, I like that. Got to get that 216 out. Oh.
I'm sure everybody's going to go straight to small block, but man, 292 would be pretty good.
I would want to see a big stove bolt in there, man.
A stove bolt?
Yeah.
Well, isn't it 216?
No, he's got a flathead.
Oh, flathead?
Yeah.
The stove bolt would be all right, but man, I'd really like a 292 in there would be cool. Because you could put a T5 behind it all day long.
I listen, Mr. Testicles, I would definitely go with an inline six of some sort.
Or get a hold of Richard Holdner and see if you can put that Atlas 4.2 in there.
An intro to nitrous would be good. Okay.
You still got a full bottle?
Yeah.
Is it intake manifold? No, it's not off the bottle rocket. Do you have another intake manifold for a small block Dodge?
I'm someplace. I'm sure I got a couple of them.
Well, intake manifold. We'll just put a carburetor on there and a spacer plate, freaking spray it out the runners.
Murder Nova wants to know what Buick small blocks have the distributor in the back.
Buick small block? None.
None.
Yeah,
all Buick motors have them in the front.
Well,
the nailheads.
The early nailheads, like a 322, I don't know if they're considered a small block. I think they're just nailheads.
They're just nailheads.
So your 264 and 322 nailheads would have been in the back, but they're all under the nailhead family.
Yes, nitrous tutorials, please. Dallas has a lot of experience running nitrous, so you want to.
I broke a lot of stuff.
I'm sure you did, but that's how you learn.
Yeah, I know. And you know who else does? Andy.
Andy knows. Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe we should have a me and you and him and John Wilburn and plan for another outing with Bottle Rocket, and we'll get a couple shows and we'll get a couple podcasts for Drunk with Tony and.
Well, for right now though, why don't we plan on getting together and do just a basic how and why about nitrous?
We can. I ran it for a few years on the street and then a few years bracket racing. Believe it or not, nitrous is really consistent as long as you maintain that bottle pressure. So, And you got to spray it the entire length or a timed segment.
Danny Boyd is saying the 292 would be cool in an old fleet line. Yeah, I can't really picture that car with anything but an inline in it, you know.
Well, that's why I went with the inline, because they're designed around that, right? Yep. I mean,
how about a Chevy V6? No.
You know what would be really cool? Like a 292 inline with a blow-through turbo on it. That would be cool as hell. Because the 292 was the truck motor, right? That's the one I'm thinking of, the super reliable truck motors.
Xander Trent, Tony, what are your feelings about the Dodge Aspen Plymouth Volare? They're fine. They're great driving cars. I mean, they're better driving than the A bodies that they replaced. There's nothing wrong with them. They're just not popular to work with.
R says I'm really speaking his language. He likes that 292.
Yeah, I see that. And he's got some facts. He's backing up with some facts here. The 292 is an excellent engine, but it's more of an extensive swap. If you switch to a 235, it's less invasive, allows you more horsepower, better oiling while keeping the original feel. Those earlier engines, those early Chevy, that doesn't have an oil pump, right? Isn't that oil like a big fish?
Oh yeah, because it's all the valves, everything's in the block.
Yeah. But I mean the bearings. There's no oil pump at all in that engine.
They didn't have Babbitt bearings in those, did they?
Yeah.
They did? Are you LS swapping the XJ? That's what New King 70 says.
No.
You haven't not watched this channel, have you?
John Bossoms, why do drag racers put a white stripe on the rear tire?
Oh, that's a good question.
2 reasons. First, you'll see a lot of people will put a stripe from the rim to the tire. And that's to tell if the tire is moving on the rim, right? So if after you make a couple of runs, you see that the stripe has moved, right?
It's no longer
lined up. That means that it's time to put self-tappers into the rim to hold the bead in place, or go for a bead lock, depending on your
most people at that point go to regular self-tapping screws.
Now, yeah, self-tapping screws are the way to go, which is actually a pretty good video all by itself.
I have a template for that, so we could do one quick.
Okay. And then the second reason you do it is so that somebody can watch the car and know. So if when the car launches, you can stripe, that means that the car hooked. If the stripe turns into a blur, it means that the car spun the tire. It's not always obvious when you're viewing a car from the side whether it's hooked or right.
Right, all of it's blackball, so it becomes an optical illusion if the car's hooking or not.
Right.
Sometimes what you see is it's unloading the tire, but it's spinning it just fast enough that it doesn't correlate to how fast the car's moving, if that makes sense. Right? It becomes an obvious picture. Mark Paul says, "Sit down, guys. Don't make me come down there." What is he talking about? 216 has dippers.
Yeah, dippers. Yeah, no oil pump on that. Right? Could you imagine? Can you imagine an engine with no oil? Well, yeah, I'm sure a lot of you guys can. But yeah, it has a dipper that dips down into the oil pan and sloshes oil up onto the connecting rods.
Hampwins says, "What's the best way to deal with a warped metering block on a Holley?"
File, a big file. There's such a common thing. You go to a swap meet, right? Go to any swap meet, and you'll see Holleys for as far as the eye could see. There's all different, you name it, people will have it out there for sale, and they're cheap. Every single one of them has either a warped metering block or a warped main body. So it's because people, the carburetor starts acting up, they try rebuilding it, doing this guy to work, and then they finally give up and they bring it to the swap meet. Every carburetor has a warped metering, or either a warped metering block or warped main body. It's usually the main body. And the way you fix it is with a file. It's that simple. You take a tail file and you put the thing in your lap and you just go back and forth until you get a smooth surface. And that's it.
Al Nosnerd says, "Suggestion, Tony do a segment on lean burn, BS, and how to throw it in the garbage."
I wouldn't do that particular one because it's too Mopar specific and too pinpointed on an error that people have very little interest in. But I would consider doing something on eliminating those primitive electronic controls on all of your malaise era into the early 80s TBI cars. So that would actually be a pretty valuable story.
Could you do a hidden nitrous setup on a small box Chevy, or do you have to use a spacer in the intake? No, there's actually nitrous systems designed, and that was coming from Dakota. So we got to time this boy out.
Oh yeah,
time him out. Asking logical questions on here. But no, Dakota, you can technically, they make nitrous kits that are specifically meant for hiding them.
You know, I'm sitting here, so I hit the Chinese buffet today, right? Which I've been hitting a lot lately.
The
Yoki
Panda.
Yoki over on Broad Street.
Oh, okay.
So I've been hitting a lot lately, and I eat. You know, I'm a power eater.
Right. Okay.
So I'm sitting here and I'm watching myself on the thing here, and I'm saying, oh my God, I have become this mass of like just fat. I have to knock this out, and then I realize it's the chair. It's the black chair. I'm not that fat. You see what I'm saying? Look. It makes me.
Jeez!
Right? Like, oh my God! I've become Santa Claus. No, it's like it's the chair. Okay.
Hey, Tony and Dallas, are you going back up to Buffalo Valley this coming weekend on Saturday night?
Yeah, I believe so.
I got the Saturday off. You want me to go up there with you?
Sure.
I'll ratchet it down in a different spot.
Excellent.
Time.
Yes.
I don't have a trailer this go around though.
Where's your trailer?
My buddy borrowed it.
Yeah. The weather looks like it's going to be good. So, and I put it all back together again today. It still has jacked up lifters in it, but we're going to run the car anyway.
Maybe I'll bring the Suburban up there and sell some AHRE merch out the back. Go. So Vince W says, hey, Tony Dallas, for my 81 square body 2-wheel drive, I just dropped a stock 350 crate motor in place of the 250. I had a 3-speed stick on the floor. What carb and carb size? And it's a stock 350 crate motor. I'm probably going to say it's that 290 horse motor. If it was me, I'd find a quadrijet. I have one that will bolt right on. But you can go with anything up to 750 CFM.
Yeah, well, stock 350 crate motor in place of the 250 had a 3-speed stick. Are you keeping the stick?
That would be cool.
Are you keeping the stick? Look, the quadrijet is a good carburetor. He loves quadrijets. I have a quadrijet on my wrecker, but now, honestly, I here's the problem, and I just ran into it on last Saturday. We were taking the car to the track. You know, you're driving along on the interstate. You know, you cruise along 70, 80 miles an hour, and then you start to go up a hill. You give it gas, and it's like, nobody home, and you got to slow down like 20 miles an hour and pump, and get over on the shoulder of the road before it finally catches up again and goes, because it vapor locks like freaking crazy. I love the carburetor. The quadrijet is an awesome carburetor. With that one limitation, man, they heat soak like crazy.
I've never had that problem.
How have you never had that problem?
I've never had that problem. I towed a camper with that 455 in that Suburban, and it freaking towed it fine. I've never had a motor heat soak.
If it goes over 90 degrees out, that thing heat soaks like crazy.
Wait, do you have a return line on your fuel pump?
No.
That's the problem. You get one off of it. What size motor is that?
360.
Go get one off of a Cordoba that's got rich Corinthian leather.
No, I could put a return. I could put a third, or I did a video on that actually. I could put a vapor separator filter on the thing and accomplish the same thing.
Okay. Yeah, I've never had a problem with it.
Mr. Will sent $10. Thank you, Mr. Will. I was able to get an NOS wiring harness for a 75 Coronet. Will it work on my 76 Dodge Coronet CHP cop car? Any changes I need to make it work? Go to mymopar.com. Okay, go to mymopar.com, and they have all of the wiring schematics for all of those classic era Mopar cars, and you'll have to make a comparison there. Now, if I'm not mistaken, okay, on A-body cars, I know for certain on A-body cars, between 1975 and 1976, they went to a completely different wiring for the alternator gauge. I don't know if they did the same thing on B-bodies. If they did, then that harness you have will not work. But if they didn't, then it will. But I would go to mymopar.com and I would just look at the two years, right, and just go wire for wire. And if the schematic matches, you're in.
See that? Dallas, fix Uncle Tony's Q-Jet.
Yeah, fix my Q-Jet.
Yeah, I'm going to. Now that you bring it up, I will. Was a 76. She was named the Cordoby. I'm sure there's a lot of them named Cordoby because that badass interior in them and the air conditioning. And I mean, they had electric heated nut scratchers and power windows and mirrors and door locks and anything that was available at the time was on that car. That was the most loaded car I'd ever seen outside of like a Cadillac.
Zach, Roller 360, LA. Zero deck, raised point out of rock heads or brass sleeves in the push rod holes. Okay. Stock rockers make the push rods barely clear the bottom of the hole. 1.6 crane. Okay. The brass sleeves are there further than the actual casting will allow. They basically, when they ported the heads, when they race ported the heads, brass sleeves.
You got to do.
Right. So here's what you do with this. Okay. This is how I've fixed it in the past. Take a drill bit, the diameter of the hole. Okay, and run it in there diagonally. Okay. But when I say diagonally, in other words, don't ream the hole straight out. Use the same diameter drill bit. Okay. But here's the hole. You want to go like on an angle like this and chamfer the hole for that push rod clearance, because the push rods on an LA motor, especially a roller, are at a crazy, okay, and it'll interfere with that push rod hole. So you're gonna have to clearance it that way. And like I said, the way I've done it is take a drill bit, right, and I use a drill bit instead of just regular grinder because the drill bit is kind of like self-centering, right? So you use a drill bit and just work it in on an angle and chamfer oblong the hole side to side. Don't make it any bigger in diameter. Just chamfer it, like picture north and east and west across the motor instead of north and south, and that'll get you the clearance that you need.
Yeah, Buff isn't here. I haven't seen him in a while. He's been laying low, guys. He's working for the man.
Who's that?
Buff.
Oh yeah, I talked to Buff. Buff called the other night. Buff is doing well. He's but he's dying to get back and get into this whole thing.
Oh no, I was reading all the chats. Greg McDonald said, I thought Dallas was frozen. Uncle Tim was still moving. I was reading the chats. I'm sorry.
Buy a reamer bit. Yeah, you can buy a reamer bit, but I've used just regular drill bits. They work just fine for that particular application.
Or if you bend your push rod, they actually fit around the hole.
If you bend the push rod, it works great. Yeah. Heat it cherry red and then cycle the motor a couple of times and you won't have any problems. Let's see.
I have on my shelf a recently rebuilt and restored 68 4-barrel 750 CFM quadrijet that came off my 68 430 auto electric. Hey, I'm interested, Mopar Den. Shoot me an email at dallas@ahraonline.com.
Buff is teaching paramilitary personnel how to fly a big saucer. Actually, Buff is a liaison between the Pleiadians and the Zetas. And he keeps them busy. He keeps them very busy.
I like to believe that he's the man. He's like the man. Like when they say, stick it to the man, Buff is getting it stuck to him.
I hate to say that, but I believe that. Yes, it's true. Let's see. What do we got? Pick quality is bad. Oh, I'm sorry. Lori Cowie. Tony, got a 68 Charger, thinking hard about front disc brake conversion, sourcing parts from Ram Inc. What you think? I've never made that conversion. The 68 Charger, the regular, the 318 or the small block car or like the 383 two-barrel car, they will keep these with the 10-inch drum brakes. They're fine. I mean, I've daily driven those things for eons, right? and they're fine. Yes, you do have to adjust them every once in a while, but the braking power is there. They're fine. If you've got if your car is an RT, has trailer towing package, 3.3 4L, right? It'll have the 11-inch drums. And I'm telling you straight up front, a disc brake conversion using like factory parts is a downgrade from those 11-inch drums, right? I don't know if I'm going to say something in favor of those 11-inch drums. Did you know that NASCAR? Did you know that NASCAR up until like almost like 1980? I don't remember the year. Did not allow disc brakes on their cars. They had to be drums.
That's cool.
And the drum brake of choice was the Chrysler 11-inch drums. So if that's what you have, making a change is absolutely a step in the wrong direction. Backwards.
Yeah. I like this one right here. Where the heck did it go? Okay, Roy Ferntop says, or Ferntorp says, I have a 442 rusting away on the farm. Any ideas? Yes, Roy, I do have an idea. Donate it to Uncle Tony's garage, and then we
donate it to Dallas. I have enough.
Dallas, and we will make a James Garner look-alike off-road Cutlass, because it unfortunately lost Slag Hammer, became a 70 Street Freak.
Becoming.
Oh yeah, but I think I always wanted to do something like that. That James Garner Baja 1000 Cutlass.
Let's see. Here, you pick a question.
I've been picking questions. Dakota's timeout. He already threw some good at stuff. Well, that says that big bear. Okay. Did anyone see that looks like a blast? I have not. On YouTube?
Yes. I'm familiar with this stuff.
Okay.
Oh, I know who that is. Yeah. He had a fight with Ultra Kathy online on Facebook. This is years ago. This is like 5 years ago. Before anybody was doing YouTube. He actually got into a fight with Ultra Kathy, over slant 6 swapping a 68 Charger that he had, or a 69 Charger, whatever it was. He hated the car because it had a slant. It was just the biggest piece of shit ever. And Kathy said some words in favor of the slant, and he got all over her and back and forth and back and forth. So there's bad blood between Junker Up and Kathy.
Mike in, I think your sounds like your voltage regulator might be poop. It says 12.6 at idle and 15.8 at faster revs. Either that or check the if you've recently changed the alternator and it came with a pulley, make sure it's the same diameter as what that came off.
Eureka 7-Wave. Tony, for the application for daily driving in the mountains, are discs actually better than drums since they are better? Yes. Okay. So there are caveats to that. All right. Yeah. If you live in a very mountainous area, always going downhill, long hills and stuff like that, steep hills, towing things down, yeah, you're better off making a disc brake swap. But for the typical car, used in a typical way on typical terrain, no.
I'll give you my insight on this. Having messed with a lot of drag cars is where you normally run into older stuff with drum brakes, right? People always freak out and go high. Oh my God, I got to get rid of these drums. They're such shit. The drum brakes were on cars. They're probably still on the rear of some cars. And I know they were on GM trucks. But the drum brake does not drag. The disc brake does drag, always. The disc brake, rotor assembly, the backing plate, all that stuff is heavier than the drum. There is options out there where drums, you could get an aluminum drum, which would dissipate heat faster than a disc brake. There are so many drum brakes, but people kick them to the curb, talk shit about them because they don't know how to adjust the star wheel on them.
Let's talk about drag cars and drum brakes, okay? So 1966, the dawn of the funny car, right? The match bash era. Though the vast majority of those cars only had brakes on the rear.
Right, rear drum brakes.
And they were drums.
Right.
Right? So I mean, people were running in the 8s, in the 8-second zone over 160 miles an hour in the quarter with drum brakes on the back wheels only. So, I mean, now you tell me, right? And those weren't really like cars. Those are 2,700 pound, 2,800 pound cars.
Dave Belcars asks, what's the big difference between a Buick 455 Stage 1 and Stage 2? Dave, the Stage 2 and Stage 1 have completely different set of heads. So it'd just be the heads. But it's like, it is really more than that because it was a camshaft, intake manifold, heads, headers as a package. But really the big one is the heads. Yeah, the drum brakes are still used on semi-trucks.
Yeah, I know.
You know, 80,000 pounds. So,
Fubar just put the link to the AHRA Drag Racing History channel.
oh yeah.
So that we just did one today,
Yep.
right, on the Slingshot Dragster. We did a whole bit on the. That was a long video.
I know it's probably 30 minutes or more, but I don't know. I haven't even looked at it.
But it's riveting.
It was good.
It's riveting.
It's good.
Yeah. So that'll be up tomorrow or the next day. So watch for that.
Yeah, you guys can see how, I don't know, like there's all kinds of stuff in there. We bow down to the hordes, the unhappy hordes, right? Unhappy masses. And then, let's see. I don't know, we talk slingshots. That's really what all happens.
Fubar just put the link to my merch, T-shirts, and all that stuff. And we have a huge. We're gearing up for the holidays. We've got a huge amount of stuff and new designs and everything coming. So, right, Kevin, is this a sore subject now? Kevin, what's the subject? What are we talking about?
Oh, drum brakes probably, or brakes.
No, I don't think so.
I don't know. No, it's not a sore subject. The sore subject, I think, what's the sore subject list? EGR.
I don't know. I'm looking to see what he. Why don't he just?
Oh. Dave Belcars asked, was the Stage 2 Buick a factory package or just over-the-counter thing? It only came factory package on 2 cars, really, that I know of. The rest of it was over-the-counter. There was a handful of them made, but you had to know the ins and outs of the back door knocks and the secret things and all that.
Kickadol wants to know, Dallas, when are you going to make some new designs for the AHRA shirts? Love to get one in something other than white so I don't trash it when I'm working on the heap.
Oh,
yeah, see, that's why we went with all black.
Well, I got red ones. I got gray ones. You got one of my gray ones.
Yeah.
I have multiple colors. You go to
but I don't.
Right now.
I hardly ever wear it because I have to be dainty when I'm wearing it. Well, I don't want to screw it up. I want it to stay nice. So I can't be my usual action self when I'm wearing that.
Do you need me to get a shirt and then wipe up some spilled coffee and then like crumble some cigarette butts on it?
No, but I mean, I can't be, you know.
Well, that way you wouldn't feel bad. See, John Wilbur said he's wearing his HRA threads right now, and I normally have shirts. Right now, I've had a hard time getting materials in or delivered. I guess it's the big thing.
Bobby Beers. Is Cliff Gromer the guy that taught you everything? Where would you get something like that from? I taught him everything. Holy shit. Well, I know. Okay, so talking about that, right? Talking about that. So this is what I find, right? Why don't I take my glasses off? I look Chinese. Hang on. Okay. Not there's anything wrong with that. But here's something that I found. Okay, years ago. Okay. If you want to be a mechanic, okay, you want to be the guy in the action, okay, you have to always be ready for it. You have to always dress for it. You see what I'm saying? Okay. It's like, in other words, like if you wake up in the morning, right?
Oh, because somebody's going to ask you to work on something.
Well, it's not just that.
And you might be in your Sunday best. The car breaks down on the way to church.
Even at that, you have like I got a bunch of nice pairs of jeans and stuff. I don't wear them because if I'm wearing them, then I'm not ready for action. I have to hesitate before I dive onto something.
Oh, wait. Hold on. I'm wearing my nice jeans.
Exactly. Same thing with shirts. You know what I mean? I have hundreds of shirts.
I'll tell you my dilemma. My dilemma is a lot of people don't understand what it's like to be me. Okay. So my very first AHRA shirt, was white. Why did I choose white? Because I didn't think anything of it. I thought about the 1960s shirts that I had seen in photos, and I made some duplicate shirts. So the next, I don't know, probably the next exact race, I'm selling these shirts, and these guys would say, "Oh, white? You should make them black because I can't get them greasy in my car, right?" Okay, no problem. So I go to the back home, I buy 1,000 black shirts. I go to the track. The guy's like, "Oh God, you got white, which I can't wear. My car's going to make it dirty, and you got black, which I'm going to burn up at the drag strip before I even get to the line, right?" "Oh, okay. What color would you like, sir?" "Gray." "What about gray?" It's a good compromise between the two. All right, so I make gray shirts.
Right.
So then I'm sitting there with white on my table, black on my table, gray on my table. None of them were selling that fast because I got 3 damn different options. And now this year, I just went and I was like, screw this. Here's red, right? I haven't tried red. Nobody said anything about red, so fuck it, there's going to be red, right? And that's what I did this year. But it's such a weird thing because it's all dependent upon what person you talk to, what they're using the shirt for, how they are. If there's somebody that sits in the stands, white shirt's great.
White shirt's great.
You know, if it's somebody that's racing the car, they want a black shirt.
Well, see, now if you go back, if you look at the 60s, you look at pictures from the 50s and the 60s, and even into the early 70s, they're all wearing white shirts.
Right.
Okay? But you got to understand, see, things change. Like, okay, people don't realize the revolution of things. In the 70s, they came out with colored T-shirts, which was a revolution. Okay? Like, if you want, let's say it's 1969 and you want a gray T-shirt.
Right.
Well, it doesn't exist. You know, you want a black one. It doesn't exist. T-shirts are underwear. This is what you're supposed to wear under your shirt.
Right.
Right. So nobody did anything with them. You know, it was just like, so
fair enough.
So let's say the Cameo Crowd was going to make shirts. They'd buy white T-shirts because that was the only color available, and they'd silk screen them, and that's what everybody wore.
Right.
They started coming out with colored T-shirts, which was a big revolution. It was like, holy shit, colored T-shirts, because you know the T-shirt was no longer underwear. Now it was something that you wear all by itself.
Right.
And
a pick of a wrench underneath. Colored pocket tees. I wish I could make a shirt that appeased everybody, and I know that's impossible.
Black. Just black.
But I'm going to tell you this. I make a black one, and the guy that buys it, he's sitting in the grandstand. Don't you have any other color but black? I burn up in this sucker sitting out here in the sun.
Yeah, well, it don't suck up. Lobo GTX, what kind of radiator coolant do you use on your cars? I go to the auto parts store and I say, what's your best deal today? And whatever the best deal is what I buy and what I pour in there.
I've been hoity-toity recently. I've been using regular Prestone yellow greenish antifreeze. And I always used to buy it in the jug unmixed, right? And then I'm like, because I used to just mix it with ground tap water. But the first $500 radiator you buy, you will not be putting ground tap water in that sucker. Guaranteed, right? So I went high and right this time and I bought pre-mixed antifreeze. Still Prestone, but pre-mixed.
Ben Smith wants to know, what are your other skills aside from wrenching? The only other real skill I have is I can astral project into Greek restaurant kitchens, and that's it, right?
It sounds almost useless.
Well, it's not a viable skill, right? I mean, if I could astral project into other parts of the restaurant, perhaps, or even maybe a nice Italian place, or French or something, but
right.
No. Only Greek kitchens, Greek restaurant kitchens.
I have another alter skill that I was in the Navy 23 years, so I can work on sonar systems and find submarines underwater. I just think Doug Narden's question here is awesome. Doug Narden says, Dallas, can you make me an AHRA Hugh Hefner smoking jacket?
That would be great.
That would be pretty sweet, but
I would want one.
It's expensive. Well, you know what would be neat? You could wear it like virtually every show because while you're smoking, that's what it's for, right?
A smoking jacket, exactly.
Yeah, we gotta.
Osaka, yeah.
Maybe I do need to. That might be pretty cool. Make a smoking jacket. AHRA authorized or.
Ben Smith thinks that's a cool skill. No, I mean I'm glad you like that. I thought I was the only one.
Can you get your own Greek food though?
No, that's the problem with the astral projecting. All I can do is hover close to the ceiling.
Just see it, and then just your mouth starts watering when you see like Slovakia or.
I'm able to hover near the ceiling. It's very frustrating. It's terrible.
Hey, have you been by Walmart on across from Lowe's?
Across from Lowe's. Walmart. There's no Greek place over there.
Oh yeah, across from Lowe's near the Walmart, in that little parking lot, there's a gyro place there.
Oh yeah, it's not that good. It's
No?
not that good. No, I got better gyros by my house.
Oh really?
The Kroger parking lot.
Okay. And Mopar Man says AHR breathable short sleeve shop shirts.
Dude can astro project the Greek restaurants only in the kitchens. Only the kitchens.
And they can't get food. I haven't found a home for my 215 yet, but I haven't been looking. Man has asked me if we found a home for the 215 yet. I really haven't been looking. It's a lot of stuff on the back burner. I'm trying to finish up this 300. That's something we do have coming.
What's that?
This 300 is almost done.
Oh, okay. I'm looking forward to that.
I had to make an intake manifold spacer and lifter valley cover for this thing. I had it made. I sent it off months ago, templates and stuff. And I just got them back, so I'm almost ready to bolt this sucker together. But it should be about 13-to-1 compression. And it's the original kind of, it's got a magneto. Did I tell you that? Yeah. I got a magneto for
I know, I've seen it. Yeah. It's old Ronco.
Yeah, well, you're going to have to help me out with that one. Because I don't, all it do is the ground comes off of there.
That's it. You just ground it. And the nice thing about those mags, so like if you use like a Mallory mag, right? Uh-huh. The magnets go bad as they sit. If you take a Mallory mag and you put it on a shelf and you forget about it for a year or two, it's dead, right? When we were running them on the fuel car, we had to have 4 of them because 2 of them were always going back to be recharged.
Oh wow!
Yeah, but that's only a 3.5 amp mag, but the magnet gets stronger as it sits.
Oh, so it's good to go.
Yeah, you take a Ronco or Vertex off the shelf. It's been sitting there for 40 years. You give that thing a spin, it'll light your ass right up.
Well, I almost did it the other day when I went to drop it in. I'm like, oh, no, because I'm holding the mag, right? Did you 20? Oh, I did 23. Tom Hughes, I did 23, man. You know what put me out was like, literally, I just got sick and tired of being in the Navy. And the old timers used to say, when you wake up one morning, you'll know when it's time to retire. And that's exactly how I was.
Ron Woodruff wants to know, did I buy roller tip rockers here for Bottle Rocket? No, I have not. The rockers aren't the problem. The problem is the lifters bleeding down. I put the car back together again today so we can run it on Saturday. I'm really not concerned so much with what the car's going to run ET. I really need to get off the starting line. That's the biggest problem because I there's no happy way. I haven't found the happy way yet to get the car off the starting line. So Saturday we're going to go out there and play around with launch techniques and everything. Whatever it runs in the actual run, whatever it is. I don't really care. But I need to. I drive that car so infrequently that every time I drive it, it's like the first time I drove it. So I want to go to the track and just make a bunch of runs and just experiment with different things, different launch RPM, different clutch release, and find out the happiest way to get the car off the starting line.
So there's a couple things here that, all right, so the kick and dog, I was the senior chief. And then Kevin's like, save the gibbity gab for Sunday because that's what everybody always, I'm sure he probably got his chops busted once.
That's okay. No, but he's right. He's right.
Yeah.
He's right.
We need to be on the tech stuff.
He's right.
And we only got 20 minutes left, so throw us some stuff. Archer Fiddler. I'm right there with you. I love a Can-Am Pontiac myself. Remember the white
They're
Can-Ams?
pretty cars. The 73 Colony Le Mans and GTO. They are really beautiful cars, and they've disappeared. You know, there are two cars that stand out in my mind, like from when I was a kid, okay? That stand in my mind is like, wow, that's like from the future, okay? And it was those cars and the Chevy Monzas. I remember when the Chevy Monza came out, okay? And you look at it today, and it's like, this is kind of a weird-looking car, right? But I remember seeing those things for the first time in like 1975. I guess it was 12, 13.
Okay.
And like, it was the most futuristic, like,
You know the one that blew me away? No lie, was a Chevy Monza, but it was, okay, you had, as a kid growing up in the Midwest, there was Monzas all over in the 70s and early 80s. They were all over the place, but they were always like that, what is it, like sport, or the, not sport coupe, the business coupe?
yeah, I know, yeah, with the notchback.
And it had completely different bumpers, and the lights, I think, were the same. The grill might have been the same, but the bumpers were different. In the back, the whole car was different.
Yep.
The first time I saw a Spider,
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck is that thing, right? Like, spoilers and, like, holy crap, that is one badass looking car. But I thought it really looked, it was like whoever was doing the Trans Am helped out the Monza. You know, they got a lot of that.
I remember the Summer Nationals when Jenkins brought out the Monza, right? And a lot of people forget this because Jenkins' white Monza and Paul Blevins' white Monza were pitted next to each other.
Okay.
Oh, they were just the slickest looking things. They were just slick.
Oh man, I got the neatest video. And see, Andy at Unity Motorsports Garage, he just did that 427 video, right? The sock motor video.
Loud pipe saves lives. $10. Why does Japan produce good quality products while the rest of the Asian countries like China, Taiwan, Korea produce worthless crap? Okay, that's a really good question. I mean, that's a really good question. And it's cultural, okay? So now if you go back to the 1960s, early 1970s, when we got something that was made in Japan, it was considered to be junk, right? But that was because at that time, Japan was rebuilding after World War II. And they turned all of their factories, they were building their planes, and think of it, the stuff they did on that little island is just mind blowing. They may have been the enemy, but they deserve every bit of respect you could possibly give them. They did amazing things.
I lived there 3 years, right?
Right.
The Japanese are the only people I ever met that their honor and pride is something that they do. If they're going to do something, they do it 100%, no bullshit.
Exactly.
Right.
It's they from the person working the assembly line, like the lowest person on the totem pole, to the person who's drawing up the plans for whatever it is, to the people who are brainstorming these things. They devote themselves 110% to the cause.
And they work 12 hours a day. Their
work is the most important. They're smart. See, they're like Americans used to be. We got soft. We became the biggest pieces of shit in the world over the last couple of generations. We became soft. We became just
lazy.
We're not what we were, right? Some of us aren't what we were, right? Some of us are still trying to hold it together. But that's what it is. The Japanese, their work is their honor, is their life, is their and it goes right on down the line, right? They deserve. They build amazing products. They do amazing things. They're amazing people. They deserve all the respect in the world. The Chinese, it's just a different culture. It's a different culture, and it's not just that they're communist. That's not just it. The Chinese are more of a kicked back kind of people. They're more laid back, like the Vietnamese would be, where they're more of a rural kind of, like the Japanese are heavy competitive people because it's a lot of people on a small land, right? All city, all urban, all competition all the time. Where you get to these other Asian countries, things are spread out. They're tropical, or they're, you know what I mean? And they just don't have that same drive, and they don't have that same. Does that make any sense?
Yeah. So I looked at this from my whole entire life has been So my generation, I don't know, you're a boomer, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm a Gen Xer, which is like the generation after, right? My generation coined this phrase called a sellout. And then ever since my entire adult life, from about 1991 on or two, we have been selling out America. And it's been going all overseas, right?
It goes back to the 70s, actually, because I remember it well.
And then that's where, I mean, Taiwan picked up a lot of this stuff, right? But when we started putting stuff in China, okay, and I don't really have any problems with the Chinese. I've never even encountered them, right?
Okay.
I don't have any issues with them. What I have noticed is they've taken every bit of technology that we had outsourced and they use it for a military application first.
Right.
And then they build your trinkety bullshit stuff, right? And that's it. So once they figure out how to, I don't know, let's say chrome something, they then apply it to your chrome-plated toothbrush or whatever you got. But it was applied. And that, to me, seems underhanded and sneaky, right? I'm sure that's kind of what we do, maybe. I don't know.
But okay, that's from a bigger picture. When you look at look at a typical, what you would imagine to be a typical Japanese assembly line worker as opposed to a typical Chinese assembly line worker, you get a different impression of what they're like.
You gotta look at it completely differently too, because the Japanese assembly line worker, that guy goes to work. Why? Because he wants to produce the best whatever product he's making, right?
Right.
Okay, the Chinese assembly line worker woke up and said, "Man,
I got to eat today."
If he even said, I don't want to go to work today, the government would be in there, shoot his grandma in the face, right? And then force the dude to go to work. That's what would happen. It's a communist country. That's how they work. Everyone has an ass, right? So this guy doesn't have the drive to be like the Japanese. He's not getting paid crap. He doesn't get paid to go to work.
Well, no, I've had a couple of friends that were Chinese. I had one friend, Simon, who I used to buddy around with when I was in New York, and I had the coffee house, and he had a Chinese restaurant. And we, after work, he'd come over, and like we became really good friends. He barely spoke English. In fact, I taught him a lot of English. I taught him a lot of bad English, right? But he was the Chinese are wheeler dealer, like hustler types.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's in their thing. So it's like, yeah, to get the deal, to get the bigger contract, the better contract. Okay, well, just blow it out, just blow it out, just blow it out. That's kind of like the Chinese way, where the Japanese are like, let's make it perfect, right? Perfect. Chuck Idle. Everyone complains about China typing on a device that has its parts in it. It's true.
Yeah, that's all Chinese stuff with Chinese software. They're spying on us.
Yeah, I don't want to get into politics.
Me neither. I want to talk about. Excuse me, America. Let's go ahead. Well, actually, excuse me, world. Let's go ahead and talk about car parts and how they interact with each other or don't. You taught him Italian English?
I mean, he spoke English, but not fluently. You know what I mean? He spoke enough to come over here and get the business going. Well, I have the ultimate respect for the Japanese and pretty much everything they do. I remember back in the 70s when I was a kid, and the Datsuns were impressive. The Honda Civics, the early Honda Civics. They went from the Honda 600, which was this little 2-cylinder thing.
Right, it looked like the Mini Cooper.
It was even smaller than a Mini Cooper.
Oh.
But they went to the Honda Civic. When they started building the Civic, it said bring over the Civic.
The CVCC.
Holy Jesus. That was a revolutionary thing. I was like a 14-year-old kid, right?
Well, I remember them things getting 30-plus miles of the gallon.
My Uncle Reno bought one, right? And he came over the house with it. And I remember pouring over this car, looking under the hood and climbing underneath. It was the first transverse engine I had ever seen. And I was just marveled at how they just packaged everything together. It was just so tight and perfect.
And small, yeah.
Yeah.
But see, we did, after World War II, did dump a bunch of money into their economy to get it going. Oh yeah, you had one of those late '80s CRXs, the 2-seater CRX, got 45 miles a gallon. I remember that carburetor had like 2 completely different circuits, and it had a different port on the head.
Yeah.
Right, like if you were at low speed, it used this really small port with a really small valve to increase torque, and then in high RPM, it would.
Well, they had a stratified charged combustion chamber, the CVCC.
Okay.
So it had a pre-combustion chamber with a small intake valve.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with this. The CVCC was really brilliant stuff. It had a pre-combustion chamber. So you had your regular combustion chamber with your intake and exhaust valve. Then it had a small, off to the side, it had a small chamber with a spark plug screwed into and a small tiny intake valve. And that would open first. And the spark plug would fire into this small chamber with the super lean mixture. And that's what would light the actual cylinder. So they ran amazing. They did away with it. I don't know.
Well, they weren't powerhouses, but they got the job done, and they were like, you didn't even notice it using fuel. It ran on love and like happiness.
It's the truth. It ran on good vibes.
Yeah.
No, I'm telling you, they were great.
Oh yeah, well the Geo Metro was terrible, Zero.
Well, you know, also too, after World War II, when we had that prohibition on the Japanese spending any money on the military,
right?
So that had a lot to do with it too. It just dawned on me now, right? So you had all these other countries, okay, like China, right, that have always been free to develop their military and do whatever they had to do, spend whatever they had to spend. Right. And after World War II, Japanese couldn't do that.
Right. Not until just within the past 10 years.
Right. So 100% of their focus was on building product. Right. And not defense or offense.
Right. Yeah, it wasn't until recently they used to have a Japanese Maritime Self-Defense Force, and now it's the Japanese Navy.
Chris Freemason, if I remember correctly, the CVCC didn't need a catalytic converter because it burns so okay. Yep, you're absolutely right. American Muscle. My twin brother just bought a 67 Riviera GS with Protector plate, original black paint, green interior, deluxe package with crank windows and 391 gears. It's a one of one. Has Star Wars air cleaner.
Yeah, that's the bitchin' one. That's the
really
I
know the air cleaner.
Oh my God, they're so freaking expensive now. They're like $800 for an air cleaner.
I believe it.
But it was a good looking air cleaner though.
Ron Woodruff, I've heard Datsun 280Zs would bury 160 speedos. No, it's not true.
No.
I had a couple of 240s. Top end on those, I'm gonna say was probably right around 120 miles an hour.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. What was the other one? You're talking Nissan, but it was you remember the Toyota Supra?
Yeah.
The Supra, they had inline six too, right?
Yeah.
They'd all do about the same speed. That Supra only hit about 120, and it just didn't have anything left.
Henry Scott, Tony, can you explain what you mean about the bottom rocket bleeding problem? The lifters bleed down. The lifter, after you shut the engine off, oil pressure pumps up the lifter. Okay. Once the lifter is filled with oil, it should take a lot of force, repetitive force, to make it drain back down again. But it doesn't. The oil seeps out of it, right? They just bleed down. So that's the problem with those lifters. Bleeding down means that the lifter is not holding its oil to stay pumped up, just to take a hold of slack in the valve train. And instead, they're bleeding down. So when you first start the engine, there's all of this slop until the oil pressure builds back up again and refills the lifter and pumps it back up.
So somebody was asking earlier, saying, hey, when are you guys going to actually have a parking lot get-together? And we haven't done one in a while. The meet and greet. Well, and I'll try to organize you one at the end of when I get done with the race season, I'll have a little bit more time on my hands.
I'm busy doing very important things.
I'm sure you are. But I'll help you organize something, and we'll put something together at the You don't trust me. You don't want to come to Tennessee right now. There's no freaking way that you want to come here. It was 106-degree heat index today, something stupid like that. And like Tony said, if you opened up a box right now that contained a thermostat, the sucker would be wide open.
Okay, do the shop is bringing up a good point. Roads lift. Yes, I'm very familiar with roads lifters. They were intended to bleed down at low RPMs to make less valve lift. Maybe if you're tuning down an aggressive cam. Any good logic to that? Yes, they do work. Right? I've never used them. I have friends that have used them. I've been around engines and had them, and they work fine. The difference between a roads lifter and any other lifter that bleeds down is that the roads lifter has very limited bleed down. So it's only allowed to bleed down, let's say, 100 thousandths of an inch, 80 thousandths of an inch, where these are just, there's nobody home. Like, there's just nothing.
Well, the difference between the roads lifter, and I was joking about it earlier when I told Tony he's got a free set of roads lift. Well, not free, but he bought some roller lifters that came roads set up, right? But in reality, roads, the hole in the roads lifter was larger, but it also sat higher, I believe, right? So it had
a limiter in it.
It only went so far,
right?
Right, and then once you got past that bleed hole being higher or whatever it was, that lifter wouldn't bleed down anymore at all. But do you also remember them clattering like hell, right? Roads lifters at an idle clatter.
Some of them, not all of them. It will depend on the amount of preload.
I've had them in Buicks, and they all clattered. But see, that's when. So I used to buy parts, and I don't know what everybody else used to do. Lucky me, I ran into this company called PAW. All right, that was like the best in the world before Summit Racing or Jegs. I mean, Jegs was around, but nowhere near like PAW. Right? Did you ever order anything from those guys?
PAW, yeah.
Oh man, I had that freaking Bible. Every year I bought a new one. Every freaking year.
Parker Russell. Hey, recently discovered your channel. I'm very new to the car scene. I know you don't really want to help her after what the last one did. I really don't. Would you be against me coming by and absorbing some knowledge? Oh, God. I wouldn't be against that. I'm not the best person to work around. I'll tell you that right now, right?
He's not lying. He's not even exaggerating just a little bit.
No, seriously, when I'm in my element, when I'm in my shop, I don't like to talk to anybody about anything. I will go 10 or 12 hours without uttering a single sound, and that's the way I want it to be.
Well, it's not like that he's a dick or anything like that. He's focused on what he's focused on. Just leave him alone, and you will be fine.
Right. So you want to come by and clean parts and stuff like that, we'll talk about it. I mean, come by the shop. But Dakota's timeout. You want to call them if they don't make it right. So about the cam. If you don't make it right, then you got to make a video. It's a win-win. You get a few 100,000 views. They all get scanned and work with you. I
don't think so. And that's burning a lot of bridges.
I don't want to do that. I didn't mention them by name. Everybody knows who they are. I didn't mention them by name because I don't want to appear to be bullying. You know what I mean? It's like I'm in a position where I've got a public audience, and to call them out by name just doesn't seem right. Okay, it just doesn't seem right. I almost feel like I'm abusing my position if I do that. So they know who they are. They watch my videos. They know exactly how to contact me. They've got my phone number. They've got I'm on their friends' Facebook thing. You know what I mean? I'm talking about the individuals that work there, but nobody's reached out to me. I know they've seen the video. They had to have seen the video, but nobody's reached out to me. So that just tells me don't deal with these people anymore.
So we're at our 2-hour mark, so we're going to be saying goodbye soon. But before we do, Michael Sieber had a good question here, and I saw something recently on this, and I think it's pretty interesting that this came across, and I throw some knowledge out there that I saw. Okay, had a flood in my garage and had a Bear Block 383 and a Bear Block 440. Got rusted, I'm assuming, real quick. How can I clean them up? I just saw a video I watched where a guy did electrolysis to remove that rust. And he made the entire thing out of like a plastic 55-gallon drum and an engine crane and some sacrificial metal, and lit that sucker off. And a day later, he went out there and the block looked half as bad.
Yeah, look up electrolysis. The process is that you use like an anode. So you use an anode would be like a sacrificial piece of iron, like you said.
Right.
So let's say you got an old cylinder head, right? You throw that in there, right? And you attach a positive electrical lead to that, okay? And then a negative electrical lead to the
block.
To the block. Is that how it is? I might be murdering this. I'm giving you a rundown, something I've never done myself, but I would like to try it. And what happens is, as they sit there, the sacrificial piece of iron, the anode, will draw the rust away from the part you're trying to save.
Right.
And when they're done, they come out brand new. Right?
Looks brand new.
Brand new. So you might want to look into that. I'm going to look into that myself because I have a couple of blocks I need to clean up.
All right. Well, I think that's pretty much the last one for the night. I mean, I know we got off track there a couple of times.
Jed Scott did the video. Did he do the video on electrolysis? That would be Scott Speed Shop. It's a good channel. He's a good guy. All right. So that's it, guys. We're going to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So make sure you visit UncleTony'sGarage.com. Pick yourself up some merch.
AHRonline.com, right?
September 5th, we got the Slanted Nationals coming to Jeffers Motorsports Park in Sykeston, Missouri.
Right. And the AHRA History Channel, we did
new episode coming.
Right, new installment on that. We did the Slingshot Trickster. We did that today. That'll be up tomorrow or the next day. And our mods, the finest people
I know
who have ever walked the planet. You know, let me tell you something. The Old Testament is filled with stories
about these people,
about people who are very similar to our mods. You know,
right?
Even if you really want to learn about the type of people our mods are, you actually need to learn how to read ancient Hebrew and look into the Kabbalah.
Well, you know, and what's
you'll
weird
find about this type of person, this quality of person.
What's weird, that applies to everybody except for John Wilburn. John Wilburn, I've only seen in the King James Version Bible.
Really?
Yeah, that's
it. That's interesting.
Yep.
So, John, Ari Fubar, 0. Thank you, guys. You know, John says we smite as needed. Right? We may have a podcast, right? Drunkle Tony and Big Wilbur in the morning. I don't know. Are we going to do this? I'm down to do it. You want to do it? Let's do it. And that's it. I think that's it, right? Everybody contributed with Super Chat. Thank you so much. It just keeps the wheels turning. Everybody contributed with good conversation, good company. We love you guys. We always have a great. I start off.
Wilbur's going to do the podcast. He says it's on.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Big Wilbur. I love this. All right. So, what was I going to say? I don't even know what I was going to say.
I don't know. We'll see you next Wednesday.
Sunday night. Sunday Night Live, 7:00. That's our like non-technical thing that we do. So that's it, guys. We're tuning out.
All right.
I'll see you tomorrow.
See you next week.